Have you ever had someone you loved more than anything? Someone who made your world feel like it was finally whole, and then they just left? Imagine giving your heart completely to someone, only to have them walk away without a word, without an explanation. And then, just when you think you've moved on, they return. It's like opening a door that you thought had been closed forever, only to find the past standing right there, waiting for you. This is Lily's story, a story about love, heartbreak, and the painful journey of letting go. Before we dive into Lily's story, don't forget to hit the like button if you've ever been through something similar, and make sure to share this story with anyone you think might relate to Lily's emotional journey. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more heartfelt, real-life stories that touch on love, loss, and the struggles we all face. Now, let's get started. Lily's life seemed to be following a predictable rhythm. She woke up each morning to the hum of her alarm, the scent of fresh coffee filling the air, and a smile from Max as he handed her a cup. It was routine, comfortable, the kind of life people worked hard to build. On the surface, everything was perfect. Max was exactly what Lily needed at that time: stable, dependable, and loving. He was there for her when she needed someone to talk to, someone who didn't ask for too much but gave her everything he could. They had their quiet evenings on the couch, sharing a bottle of wine, binge-watching their favorite shows. They laughed at the same jokes, made plans for vacations, and even dreamed about a future together. There was no drama, no chaos, just peace. But Lily had something Max didn't know about, something he couldn't see. It was a ghost from her past. Ethan. She would never forget the way she felt when she was with Ethan. He was everything she never thought she'd find. They shared a connection that was almost too intense to describe. It was as though they could read each other's minds, finish each other's sentences. With Ethan, Lily was not just seen, she was understood. She had never felt that with anyone else. But Ethan had left her. No warning, no goodbye, just a note on the kitchen counter. "I need space." That was all. No explanation, no phone call, no discussion. Just a sudden silence. And silence was the worst part. Lily tried to move on. She tried to push away the haunting memories of Ethan, to convince herself that what she had with Max was enough. But in the stillness of their apartment, as she lay in bed with Max asleep beside her, Lily would often think of the life she had with Ethan. The way he used to laugh, the way his touch had made her feel like the world was hers. And then, just as quickly, the pain would set in, the pain of never getting closure, the pain of loving someone who didn't love her enough to stay. Ethan wasn't just a name from her past, he was a chapter in her life that she couldn't close. Lily met him when they were both in college, young and full of dreams. They were two people who seemed to fit together effortlessly. Their first date had been nothing special, just coffee at a small cafe on a rainy afternoon. But from the moment they spoke, it felt as though the universe had conspired to bring them together. The way he listened to her, really listened, made Lily feel like she was the most important person in the world. They spent hours talking about their hopes, their fears, their childhoods, their dreams. They could talk about anything and everything, and it never got boring. It wasn't just the chemistry that made Ethan so special. It was the way he made Lily feel, the way he looked at her like she was the only one who mattered. And in return, Lily loved him with everything she had. She never questioned it, she never doubted their connection. But then, one day, it all ended. It was as if someone had flipped a switch. Ethan changed overnight, becoming distant, withdrawn. When he finally left, he left without a word. It felt like she had been discarded, a chapter closed, a person forgotten. Lily had moved on, or so she thought. It was the night of her promotion celebration. She and Max were surrounded by friends, laughing and toasting to her success. Max had planned the entire evening, making sure everything was perfect. But as Lily stood there, feeling a sense of accomplishment and pride, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Her smile felt forced, her mind elsewhere. And then she saw him. Ethan. He stood across the room, looking out of place but completely at ease, as if nothing had changed. He had the same confident air, the same smile that made her stomach flip. But this time, she didn't know what to feel. She didn't know whether to run toward him or turn and flee. Her heart raced, her hands began to tremble, and her breath caught in her throat. Max didn't notice the shift. He was talking to one of their friends, completely unaware that the world around Lily had just collapsed in on itself. Lily's pulse thundered in her ears as she stood frozen in place, staring at Ethan. It was as though time itself had paused. Her thoughts were racing. How? Why now? He was back. After all these years, after all the unanswered questions, after the heartbreak that had scarred her, Ethan was here. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think clearly. The moment she locked eyes with him, a flood of emotions, pain, love, anger, longing, hit her all at once. The years without him suddenly seemed like a mere moment, as if nothing had changed. She wanted to run, to flee to somewhere safe, to pretend none of this was happening. But there was nowhere to hide. The sound of laughter and conversation around her seemed muffled, as though it was all happening on a distant plane, far removed from her current reality. Ethan was right there in front of her, and she had no idea what to do. Lily's heart ached as memories came flooding back. How could he just walk back into her life like nothing had happened? She had given him everything, and he had walked away without a second glance, leaving her with only the shattered remnants of a love she had fought so hard to hold on to. Max was beside her, talking animatedly to a colleague, completely unaware of the emotional turmoil raging inside her. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, trying to push down the confusion threatening to swallow her. But it was no use. And then, as if on cue, Ethan walked toward her, a hesitant smile on his face, his eyes filled with something Lily couldn't quite read. Regret, longing, maybe both. But as he closed the distance between them, her heart began to race even faster. Lily, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. She wanted to turn away, to act like she didn't care, but the words caught in her throat. She just stared at him, trying to form a sentence, but nothing came out. She could barely even breathe. After a few seconds of tense silence, Ethan spoke again, his voice trembling. I didn't expect to see you here. I've thought about you, every day. Lily could feel her chest tightening. Every day, where had he been when she was picking up the pieces of her broken heart? Where had he been when she needed closure, an explanation, anything? The anger bubbled to the surface, but it was mixed with something much more painful, longing. Why now, Ethan? Her voice shook, betraying her composure. Why after all this time? After everything, you just show up? I don't have an answer for that, he admitted, his eyes dark with regret. I don't expect you to forgive me, Lily, but I couldn't keep living with myself knowing that I never told you the truth. I was selfish, I was scared, and I left. But I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Lily swallowed hard, the knot in her throat making it difficult to speak. She wanted to scream at him, to ask him why he couldn't have come back sooner, when she still loved him, when she still believed in them. But all she could do was stand there, her emotions swirling like a storm inside her. I don't know what to say to you, she finally managed, her voice small and broken. You hurt me, Ethan. You broke me, and now you're back, telling me you're sorry. I never stopped loving you, Lily, Ethan said quietly. I thought I was doing the right thing by walking away, but it was a mistake. A huge one. I was scared that I wasn't good enough for you, that I couldn't give you the life you deserved. But I was wrong. I've been living with that regret every day. Lily felt the tears welling in her eyes, but she blinked him away quickly. She didn't want him to see her like this. She didn't want to let him know how much his words were affecting her. But she couldn't help it. She had loved him so deeply, and hearing him say that, hearing him tell her that he still loved her, made her feel like she was falling all over again. The world around her seemed to blur. She could barely hear Max's voice as he came to stand beside her, asking what was going on. But in that moment, all she could focus on was Ethan, standing right in front of her, making her question everything. I don't know what to do, Lily whispered, more to herself than to Ethan. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't expect you to, Ethan replied. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I left because I thought it was the right thing to do, but now I see I was just running away from the best thing that ever happened to me. You, Lily, you were the best thing. Lily's stomach twisted as Max appeared beside her, his face unreadable. He had been watching the entire exchange between her and Ethan, his expression shifting as he pieced together the fragments of the conversation. He could see it, the emotional weight that hung between him, the undeniable pull that Ethan still had over Lily. Max was a good man. He loved Lily, and he had been her rock when she needed someone to lean on. But now, he was faced with the reality that there was something unresolved inside her. Something that he couldn't compete with. Lily, Max said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. Who is he? Lily turned to him, her heart aching. She didn't want to hurt him, not like this. She didn't want to tear apart what they had built, but the truth was out there now. There was no escaping it. It's Ethan, Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. Max's face fell. Your ex? He asked, disbelief in his voice. Lily nodded, feeling the weight of the words as they left her mouth. She hadn't wanted to tell him, hadn't wanted to expose the rawness of her past. But now, with Ethan standing there, it was impossible to pretend. Max looked at Ethan, then back at Lily. He was silent for a long moment, processing everything. I didn't know, he finally said, his voice steady but laced with hurt. I didn't know you were still carrying him with you. Lily wanted to say something, anything, to reassure him, to tell him that she loved him, that he was the one who had been there for her when Ethan wasn't. But the words wouldn't come. She felt trapped between the past and the present, unable to reconcile the two. I'm sorry, she said, her voice cracking. I never meant to hurt you, Max. You've been nothing but kind to me, and I don't know what to do. Max's face softened, but there was sadness in his eyes. You don't have to do anything, Lily. I can't be the second choice, not when you're still holding on to someone else. I love you, but I can't be in a relationship where I'm not your first choice. Lily's heart broke. She wanted to scream at him to stay, to tell him that she didn't want to lose him, but she knew deep down that Max was right. She wasn't truly ready to let go of Ethan, not yet. I understand, Max said softly, his voice filled with resignation. I think it's time for us to let go, Lily. The days that followed were a blur. Lily's heart ached with a deep, empty pain that seemed to swallow her whole. She had lost Max, the person who had been her anchor through everything, and now Ethan was gone again, leaving behind only more unanswered questions. She found herself wandering through her apartment, her gaze falling on the pictures of her and Max. They had been so happy, and now it felt like all of that happiness had been ripped away from her. She didn't know how to move forward. She didn't know who she was anymore without either of them in her life. But healing, as it always does, began slowly. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't immediate. Lily spent weeks alone, trying to come to terms with the mess she had made of her life. She went to therapy, spent time with friends, and started focusing on herself for the first time in years. There were still moments when the pain of losing both Max and Ethan hit her like a wave, but gradually, she began to learn how to navigate it. She discovered old passions, took up new hobbies, and found solace in the quiet moments of solitude. Lily learned that she didn't need a man to define her, that she didn't need to be in a relationship to feel whole. Slowly but surely, she began to heal, not just from the loss of her relationships, but from the emotional scars she had carried for so long. One day, several months later, Lily ran into Max at the coffee shop near her apartment. It wasn't awkward, though. There was a quiet understanding between them. They had both moved on in their own ways, and while they could never go back to what they had, there was a peace in knowing they had both grown from the experience. I'm happy for you, Lily, Max said, offering a warm smile. You've come a long way. Thanks, Lily replied, her heart lighter than it had been in a long time. I think I've finally found my way. If you enjoyed Lily's story, and you've ever been through a journey of love, heartbreak, and finding yourself, don't forget to like and share this story with anyone who might need it. And, of course, subscribe for more stories that dive deep into the emotional rollercoaster of life. Thanks for watching, and remember, healing starts with you.